get you the review sheets. So Chapter 11 starts on page 307, how to use jQuery plugins and jQuery UI widgets. Just so you see this, if you look up on the screen, please. If I search for jQuery plugins, see this? There's a jQuery plugin registry. And if I click there, what you'll notice, okay, but what you will notice, what you'll notice is there literally are thousands of plugins. What plugins are is they're free code snippets. They're code snippets somebody else has used, somebody else has tested, and that you can use inside of your programs. Does that make sense? All right. So they will talk to you about that. They'll talk to you about 3 popular plugins. The jQuery UI, which I've already mentioned to you, and 5 of the most popular jQuery UI widgets. All right, so I just showed you how to find the plugins. There are other places that you can go other than just the plugin registry. There are people who put in free plugins all over the place. Literally, there are thousands of them out there. Now, there are thousands of them out there. There are also hundreds of them out there that are not free. So if you're like creating this website and you're like, wow, I'd really like to do this. It's kind of weird sorting or searching or whatever, but I don't really want to write it. You probably want to go out and look and see if somebody's written a plugin to do it already. All right. Again, it may or may not be free. So as it says, plugins are kind of like mini applications. All right. It says they're available for hundreds of web functions, slideshows, carousels, all sorts of stuff. All right. And it says most of them are in that where I just showed you, the jQuery plugin registry, but sometimes you'll just have to search for it if you're looking for it. The other thing too is it's a way to make money. So if you go out there and you look for a plugin and it's not there and you create it yourself, you can put it out there, you know, and you can advertise it, and if people are interested, they might buy it. In general, it says if you can find a plugin for doing what you want, it's usually better than writing the code yourself. That's no slam against you, but if somebody's already created it, it's been tested. The other thing too is that when you go out to the plugin registry, with some of these, they'll show you how many downloads there have been. And if you go out to a place and there's been 10 million downloads, guess what? It's probably pretty good. If you go out to the one underneath it and there's been 3 downloads, it's probably not as good. So it says there how to use any plugin. Typically when you go and you grab a plugin, as they say here on 311, first you study the documentation. It should have a bunch of stuff written in there as far as how to use it. All right, so you look at that first. All right. If it's available from a CDN, you probably want to use it there. All right. Otherwise, you're going to have, it's just more downloading for you to do. So again, it's going to make your page load slower and slower. Okay. In the head element, it says here, for the page that uses it, code any extra CSS that you need. All right. If it has images, sometimes what it does is they have little predefined images. Especially, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you're ever doing something where the system is waiting, you might see like a little thing that looks like it's rotating, like little dots to show you that it's almost done. Those are the kind of images that they'll typically provide for you. All right. Code your own HTML and CSS and any jQuery. But the key thing here is when you look, all right, you want to make sure that you download jQuery first and then the plugin afterwards. All right. And that's what they're saying here. I'm not going to read it to you. All right. And then it says some plugins won't work with the latest version of jQuery. Well, guess what? This book was written in 2016. So it wouldn't work back then, but it might work now. All right. The best way to find out, of course, you download it and you try it. All right. So the first one is Lightbox. It's kind of cool. Have you ever done this where you got it where you click on a, we talked about this before, where you kind of click on a thumbnail and it becomes real big on the screen. All right, that's one way you can do it with Lightbox. You can also do effects on here. You know, it's funny. I'll tell you this stuff. You may laugh, you may not, but I find it hilarious. My wife's is doing a FaceTime yesterday with my daughter. All right, my wife who thinks that she's a computer person. So she's like, Taylor, there's this button on my iPad I've never seen before. It says special effects. I wonder what it does. And I'm like, maybe it does special effects. You know, so she starts pressing it. And every time she presses it, she turns a different color. She was blue, then it went black and white, then it went green, and then it went back to normal. She's like, oh, this is terrible. Okay. But it's somebody created it thinking somebody would want to use it, right? All right. So as it says there, the Lightbox plugin can be used to display larger versions of thumbnails. When you click the thumbnail, the rest of the page gets darkened and you see the big version. Notice it includes a CSS file, a plugin file, and an images folder that contains the images that are used when you're loading. Not your images, but when it's loading your images. The HTML consists of image elements with A's. All right, the source, you're going to have to change all that stuff so it's got your stuff in it. All right. Here's another one, the BX slider for carousels. Some people like this better. Notice it shows you, if you've got 3 pages, your 3 slides, it shows you 2 of them at a time. But there are different effects that you can do with this. All right. And again, as they say there, it makes it easy to develop a carousel. The HTML is just an unordered list. The website provides examples. All right, so yeah, you go out there, you look up BX Slider, you look it up. Typically, you can just grab the code, remove what they say in there for whatever they're using for images, and you put your own in. That's it. It consists of a JavaScript file, a CSS file, and an images folder. All right, finally, there's another one here called Cycle 2 for slideshows. All right, but it's the same stuff. Now, it treats the stuff like a div as opposed to an unordered list, but the way it works is virtually the same. So which one do you use? You try a bunch of them, and you see which one you like. All right, I mean, I don't know any other way to say it really other than that. All right, the Jquery UI, we looked at this the other day. That's why this lecture won't be very long, because you've seen this already. This, to me, this is Jquery's version of kind of like W3 Schools. I have told you before how W3 Schools puts code out there and they tell you to use it. Use it. If it can help you, use it. That's what this does. The Jquery UI, it's got, you know this because we looked at it already. You click the button that says source and it'll show you the source. You can use it for free. So again, it's a free open source JavaScript library that extends the regular Jquery library. All right. And it's jqueryui.com. How to download it? Well, if you look here, if there's something that you like and you want to put in your project, all right, there's more to this Jquery UI than I told you. All right, some of the stuff, if you want to download it, then you get folders and stuff that you download. You can even build your own. They have a thing that's called the theme roller, where if you want to go kind of and create your own themes, let's suppose that, remember when we did the midterm and you were doing that thing for Parkway or whatever it was, that school. What if their color was light blue with gold writing, and you decided you wanted to create your own effect with that? You could do that. So they go through the steps for building a custom Jquery UI library. Notice what it says from the home page. Click the download link. You don't have to select everything. You can only select what you want. You can also go back later if you forgot something and add it. So, as mentioned here on the bottom of the page, the Jquery UI download consists of a zip file with all the CSS, images, etc. The only folders and files you have to include are the images folder and the minified versions of CSS and jQuery UI. Alright, the download also includes full and compressed versions, but you don't need them because you already have the minified version. Alright, when you're building a download for a web page, you can keep the sizes smaller by only selecting what you need and by using the minified version. Alright, how to use any jQuery UI widget. This is what we went over, if you remember, a week or so ago. Alright, we looked at this. I showed you where the actual jQuery code was, and it's just a few lines. So again, as it says, to use it, you code the HTML and jQuery for the widget. In the jQuery, you code the selector. You can put that right in line, or you can put it in its own file. Okay. For a widget that requires images, jQuery UI expects the CSS file and the images to be at the same level. So either you give it a path, or you put it all in the same folder. All right. The accordion, this is one of the ones we went over the other day. What I love about this is the whole thing is right there. And the reason that's a little bigger than the one we saw is they put a few options in there. Mouse over, content, etc. The tabs widget, if somebody says to you that you only have a certain amount of real estate on a page, does that make sense? So we could use the same area in here, the same part of the web page, to have both the description of the book, the author of the book, and who the book is for, if we wanted to do that. Do you have to do that? No, but it's what this says is maybe this isn't important enough for 3 different web pages. All right? So again, you can see how small that is, just a few lines of code. The button and the dialog widgets. All right. You may have heard of this term before. My guess is you have not, but I don't know. If you get a box that comes up like this, and it's got an X on it, and you cannot do anything until you click that X to make it close, that's something that's called modal, M-O-D-A-L. In other words, it's taken control of the system until you click that X to make it go away. And they talk about that in here. The date picker has become really popular. All right, if you ever do anything, for instance, let's say that you were going to create a simple website for a dentist office. All right, I know my dentist, they always schedule everything 6 months in advance. Then like 2 months before you start getting notices, you know, in 2 months you got an appointment. In 5 weeks you got an appointment. In 4 weeks you got an appointment, etc. That stuff can be done really fairly simplistically with a date picker. And that's it. So tomorrow we will talk about Flickr, JSON, and Ajax. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go and get you